Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is Moneyline with Nancy, and I am Nancy Naji. So far, President Buhari will be the president that has amassed the biggest loan so far in Nigeria. President Buhari is Nigeria's biggest borrower with about 70 trillion naira in his kitty as he leaves office in the next few days for the next president. According to the DMO, Nigeria's total public debt stood at 46 trillion naira at the end of December 2022 as a result of the approval from the National Assembly for President Buhari to restructure and securitize close to 23 trillion naira ways and means from the Central Bank of Nigeria. President Buhari becomes Nigeria's biggest borrower. He is seeking, President Buhari is seeking an approval from the Senate for the $800 million World Bank loan to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. President Buhari's request is born out of the fact that when the fuel subsidy is removed, about 50 million Nigerians, 50 million vulnerable Nigerians will benefit from the $800 million loan and about 10 million households. So it could be 10 million households or 50 million vulnerable Nigerians. What will the next administration do since there is no adequate funds really in the purse of the federal government? The Budget Office of the Federation has also raised concerns that there may not be so much headroom for us to borrow anymore. President Buhari, in the last 8 years, now at the slightest financial pressure, goes to borrow. That's what we're looking at on today's edition of the program. And in case you don't know the intensity of what we're talking about, as a Nigerian, you are owing over 380,000 naira. You are owing over 380,000 naira. I'm owing 380,000 naira. That is over it. When, where do we go from here? That's the program today. And we will start very quickly. Let's take a break to bring in my guest, Dr. Tokpe Fashola, will be joining me to speak about that. He's an economist. The second half of the program, I'll be talking with Dr. Linus Okoro, who will be speaking about why leaders fail and what we need to do to have transformational leadership. So that's the program today. Promises to be interesting. Don't touch that dial. Don't don't stand up from your seat in case you're watching before your TV sets. Or, TV is on the move. You are watching us online. Let's quickly take a break. Dr. Linus Okoro joins me right now. He's the founder and president of Gotney. Welcome to the program. I guess you've been listening to what I had. In fact, you said that was intense. that was how you described it. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Now let's get started. And let me ask you, why do leaders fail? President Buhari, but this is what we're talking about, and this is where we find ourselves right now. The biggest borrower so far. Why do leaders fail? Because some people will say, okay, he's been a woeful leader. Some school of thought will say, okay, no, he's been a fantastic president we've had. He's done infrastructure. A lot of people will say different things. But why do leaders fail generally?
So whether it's in business,
or
whether
government.
it's in family, whether it's in government, whether it's even in an individual's life, leaders fail majorly because of about 4 components. First is deficit of vision. When a leader has no vision, there's usually little the leader can do in order to drive progress. Vision comes with a demand for energy, a demand for pursuit, a demand for stretching, a demand for clarity, a demand for this is where we are going to, and we must go there. No distractions, right? That's one. Number two, leaders fail because sometimes they go for selfish interests. When a leader's main attention for coming into office, whether it's running even private shares or chairman of a company that is a private company, and all he's thinking about is himself. It's about his own personal progress and not the progress of the common good. What happens is that that type of leader will fail because over a period of time, that leader will not generate the influence that is needed to drive progress as a result of that. In fact, Simon Sinek wrote a book and he titled it Leaders Eat Last. What it means is that the people that you are leading, the people you are following, must perceive beyond every reasonable doubt that their interest is in your heart. That is not about you, but is about them, their progress. So if leaders don't have the common good interests, they will fail because people will withdraw their support for those leaders. The other one is the inability of leaders to work with teams, work with other set of people, grow partnership. Look, this is a very great country in all ramification. For this country to work, it needs the capacity of leaders to mobilize its own citizens. The citizens of this country, for instance, each person has what it brings to the table. And that type of collaborations and mobilization, and even resources that are not available within this country, that is in the hands of private citizens of Nigeria, go around the world. Nigerians are some of the most celebrated across the world. How do you mobilize these resources to be able to drive progress? And the fourth one is lack of integrity.
Okay, because while we're also discussing this is that I also know that there's a relationship between leadership, development, and growth of any country.
Absolutely.
Lee Kuan Yew it's such an example that almost everyone around the world talks about. But let's take a look at it. How do we now grow from where we are now to advance leadership? Because I know that you're doing stuff around that. So can we really talk about that and why you think that there is that deficit where as individuals we should strive to have advanced leadership? I don't know if there's nothing like advanced leadership, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Yes. Why, as individuals, we should try to, exercise good leadership traits.
So that's what we call the economics of leadership.
Of leadership, yeah.
Economics of leadership is that there's an opportunity cost. So
Yeah,
what it means is that in any organization, whether it is a business outfit or a private outfit or it's a government outfit, once there is deficit of leadership capital in that institution, which means you have leaders who don't have enough competencies to lead. There might be good people. Being good does not necessarily mean that you're competent in terms of leadership.
Yeah.
So once there's deficit of that, what will happen is that people will lose money. Do you know there are many roads in this country today that are not done because people stole those monies and put it in their private pockets? That has cost us lives, human lives. That has cost us so much. There are organizations that have, even private organizations, that people's investments are mismanaged as a result of poor leadership, right? And as such, people are literally losing their livelihoods as a result of the poor leadership that is in place. So if there's high level of a deficit of poor leadership, then what does it mean? What it means is that what we want our people to do is to begin to now invest. Every business that must grow as a matter of urgency, as a matter of necessity, must begin to build a leadership culture within that institution. So from entry point, people are deliberately groomed on specific kinds of leadership competencies, right? The ability to be trusted, the ability to serve, the ability to have, those critical emotional intelligence, executive intelligence, those critical leadership competencies that are needed to drive growth in organizations. So you start from the day one to invest in people. So take, for instance, a country like America every year spends over $160 billion in the different strata of leadership development. So what it means is that there's a budget. So let me give you an instance. Somebody wants to start a business in Nigeria, and the person says, I will pay for rent a building or rent a room. I will pay for the goods. I will do all this, I will do that. But guess what? There will never be a budget for training of the human beings that are going to work with me in order to make sure that the business would work. What does that mean? What it means is that that business has capacity to fail, because when the trouble of running a business hits that type of business, the patience to stay through the course, the capacity to delay gratification would not be there.
Okay.
And so what happens is that, those businesses will fail because of these human deficits that we're talking to you about. And so organizations will grow. If Nigeria must grow and make a difference, it means that in the selection of those who will be minister at whatever level, it must be merit-based, in the sense that these individuals have certain competencies, and these competencies will lead to effectiveness. This is passionate, is driven. This individual is highly optimized in the sense that he has those competencies that are needed. Okay. For me, it is literally how you can grow a system and transform a system, and that is even why the Gotney Leadership Center, precisely, from Monday, will be hosting a 1 week.
Which Monday?
This Monday,
okay.
From the 15th.
Okay.
We'll be hosting a 1 week advanced leadership program, the type of program that we go to Harvard and we pay $10,000, $20,000 to attend. That right here in Nigeria at the Gotney Leadership Center, we will be having the opportunity to have 1 week for senior executives, for CEOs of companies, for decision makers of organizations, for board members of organizations, for elected members, who are elected into offices, as the case may be. 1 week of intense learning that will trigger emotional intelligence, trigger executive intelligence, trigger a 21st century leadership models that can help these leaders take their organizations to another level.
So if one is interested now, how do they?
If anyone is interested to attend the Advanced Leadership Program, plus the National Leadership Conference that is taking place June 23rd and 24th for managers from all over Nigeria at the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja for 2 days. Anybody who is interested, you are an organization, you want your top team to be part of these programs, you want your own institution, even for us to help you grow a leadership capital in your system, all you need to do is send a WhatsApp message to the number that is on the screen, and say, please, I would need to be part of this program. I want to send my top executives to be part of this program. I need to send my middle-level managers to be part of the National Leadership Conference. I would need to send my top executives to be part of the Advanced Leadership Program starting on Monday, whether you are in Lagos, whether in Abuja, any part of the country that you are in. This is an opportunity for you to reinvent your organization, reinvent yourself, and begin to think about sustainability, leadership for sustainability. So the individuals grow, the organization grows. So that is literally the way to go. So the number that you have to send your WhatsApp message right now is on the screen. And once you're able to do that, then somebody's going to send you the details on how you participate, how much you pay for the Advanced Leadership Program, and how much you're going to pay for the National Leadership Conference at the Transcorp Hilton. It is the biggest thing that you can do for yourself. You see, John Adair, the first professor of leadership in the world, said to me a few years ago, he said, Linus, the greatest need for Nigeria is to grow good leaders and leaders for good. It's a top priority, and anybody who is able to catch into that you can reinvent yourself and your organization, and you'll be the best that you can ever be.
Why do you think that we've not? Okay, you've heard from Linus, so you can see those details on the screen. So please contact those numbers. Okay, it's a number, so you can see it there. So please contact that number and you get additional information. Why do you think that there is that lacuna for Nigeria to have good leaders? Now, let me give you an example. On today's what, Thursday. On Tuesday, I anchored and moderated the Kenagi Endowment for International Peace and Agora Policies program. It was, in fact, my brain was on overdrive because you needed to see the room filled with people that have, done reforms in the country and all of that. The Khalifa, Mohammed Sanusi was there, El Rufai, Governor Soludo, professors around, former ministers, and all of that. But one thing I could get from the room, it seemed to me that on Tuesday that everybody knows what the problem of Nigeria is. And when I was asking questions, they were telling me what the solutions were. So I asked, I did not come here for you to rehash those solutions to me. Why have we not been doing them? So what exactly is the problem? Governor Rufai told me, for example, that's a political will, that even amongst the politicians, there's no trust for themselves. Even the World Bank chief told me. So I was like, okay, if you guys know the solutions, and you know the solutions, why are we still in this quagmire?
So have you asked yourself that everybody talks about leadership deficit in this country as a problem? The whole of Africa, everybody talks about that. Have you asked yourself, how many institutions for leadership development do we have in Nigeria? A country of over 160 million people going
like
to
that?
200 million people. So that's the
must
point
we
I'm
have
making.
institutions that will breed
there
good leaders?
There must be, and there must be budgets.
Aren't good leaders born?
No, that's the mistake that we have been making in this country. In fact, it will interest you to know that from primary school to secondary school to universities, there must be investments for leadership development throughout those structures so that young people can start early to learn leadership competencies as it is done in countries of the world that are developed today. But in this country, there is, in fact, as I'm talking to you right now, succession planning is not, there's nothing happening like that in this country, except some of
there's succession planning now.
No, I'm talking to you about, you're not talking about movement of people, you're talking about transfer of knowledge. How do you transfer knowledge from one organization to another? How do you transfer knowledge from one person? Let me give you an instance. Somebody's living as a director of an institution, right? He lives as a director, but guess what? The guy who is coming in is not even ready to work with the guy who is going out. So what does it mean? You see knowledge lost in that context because leaders must be knowledgeable.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make to you is that until we begin to reinvent our leadership capital, nothing happens. And that's why you cannot miss the opportunity of being part of the Advanced Leadership Program for senior executives starting on Monday, the 15th to the 19th, where the graduation happens at the Hilton. And the National Leadership Conference taking place on the 23rd and 24th of June, 2023, for managers across Nigeria, people who are hungry to make a difference in their companies, private businesses, as well as government institutions. You can't miss it. You better check the number on your screen and send us a text, and we'll let you know how you can participate.
Okay, Linus, I think we'll continue this conversation on that day because something you said just pricked me now, but it will be on another day in the sense that the succession, perhaps if a director is leaving, have you been able to transfer what you know, or is there a succession plan? But I wanted to ask, how will it work in this kind of system where rent-seeking, where corruption, as it were, where Nami get the space, if you are in this space, you are jealously guarding it. Nobody must enter. Will we get to that point in this country?
We will get there one day when we begin to train and groom and prepare people to lead. But if we don't invest in that, we will not. There will be no meaningful change. It will remain the same.
I think we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you very much for coming on today's edition of the program. And thank you all for your company today. Please join us again tomorrow for the last edition of the week. Same time on this channel, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. I'm yours sincerely, Nancy Nnaji, and be the best you want to be. and be that change that you want to see. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye now.